60 years watching people lose money, watching them work, sacrifice, plan, and still end up with less than they started with. Not because they were lazy, not because they were foolish, but because something was working against them that they could not name, could not see, and could not fight. My name is Solomon. I am 103 years old. For most of my adult life, I was involved in communities of spiritual practice, traditions passed down through generations, traditions that most people today have forgotten. We studied many things, but one thing consumed most of our attention: the flow of money. Not as economics, but as a living current. Something that moves, something that can be redirected, something that can be deliberately blocked. There are presences that attack the pathways of money, businesses that collapse without reason, partnerships that dissolve, opportunities that feel real and then disappear just before they become something. Income that enters but never settles, contracts that fall through. I watched this happen hundreds of times. The details were different, the pattern was always the same. Give me 10 minutes. I am going to explain what is truly happening beneath that pattern and what can be done about it. Think of a river, not a dramatic river, just a normal, quiet river moving through land. Every person carries a current of flow inside their life. But imagine something upstream begins to redirect that water. It doesn't dam the river, it simply begins to turn the water sideways, slowly, quietly. So slowly that for months, maybe years, you don't realize the flow has changed. You notice that your efforts produce less than they should. And because there was no one single catastrophic event, you do what most people do. You blame yourself. You decide you are not strategic enough. But they don't explain it. The mistakes are real. But the pattern is older than the mistakes, deeper, operating at a different level entirely. I want to tell you about a man I knew. He was one of the most determined men I have ever met. He worked before sunrise and after sunset. In his 70s, he said something I have never forgotten. I think I was born to lose. He said it the way a person says something they have accepted. I felt something close to grief, because I knew he was not born to lose. He had been systematically drained. His river had been redirected. That is the real damage these presences cause. Not poverty, resignation, the quiet, devastating belief that this is simply how your life is going to be. Here is what I need you to understand. They do not choose at random. They identify specific individuals. They look for particular conditions. A person with strong ambition but damaged self-trust. These conditions create a signal, an access point that makes the river easier to redirect. Once it finds that access point, it simply sustains what is already there. Reinforce the self-doubt, deflect the opportunities, just enough. And the person only sees the results. They explain it the way we are trained: timing, competition, the economy, bad luck. I know what you're thinking. This sounds like an excuse. I am not asking you to stop taking responsibility. Bad decisions are real. But they do not explain the pattern where effort is genuine, decisions are reasonable, and still, the result is always less than it should be. Recognizing it is the first movement of the river. There are 3 steps. The first is this: you name the shape of what has happened. You sit down alone and write down the last 5 or 6 moments where something arrived and disappeared. You simply need to see them together. Naming the pattern is the beginning of separating yourself from it. When you look at it as a pattern, not your identity, you withdraw cooperation. The second step, you interrupt the anticipation of loss. Through repeated disappointment, you begin to approach every opportunity braced for failure. That anticipation is a posture. It makes redirection easiest. The interruption is simple, but it must be practiced deliberately. Before any action, you stop. You say, I do not carry the past into this moment. What has been is not what will be. It is a refusal. The practice is in the repetition, in the accumulation of refusals, each one chipping away at the structure of anticipation. The third step, you restore the movement of the river through a deliberate act. It doesn't need to be large. Small acts with intention carry more weight. The act can be giving something meaningfully, or paying a debt, or a small investment. I am choosing to move. The river is moving again. That choice is one of the most powerful repositioning acts I have ever witnessed. It announces something to the current itself. It changes the conditions. I have seen cases where the blockage was older and deeper, operating across more than one generation. In those cases, the work took longer. But what was placed can be addressed, not by a ceremony, but by your own sustained, sincere, deliberate repositioning, step by step. The river does not need a flood to clear. It needs a first movement, then a second. That is how blocked water finds its way again. Your financial life is not over. Your capacity to build and contribute has not been destroyed. It has been redirected. Find your way back. Look at what has been happening. Name it. Refuse it. Move. The river remembers how to flow. It has not forgotten, and neither have you. My name is Solomon. I am 103 years old, and I have spent 60 years waiting to say this to someone who needed to hear it. You are that person.